Hi, everybody, and welcome to post-Thanksgiving Day in Canada. Sorry I'm not live with you today, but flew to Canada last week to be with family for Canadian Thanksgiving. You know, I've lived in the United States 25, 6, 7, 8 years. I can't remember first time I've ever been back for Canadian Thanksgiving, so I had that turkey hangover look. There's a reason for it. So, and if in case you're wondering what we're thankful for in Canada, as well, we're thankful to be neighbors with the United States, for one. But we're also happy that we have Thanksgiving in October, not too close to Christmas. So that's one of the things we're thankful for. Yeah, sweet turkey and do all that kind of stuff too. So, all right, we are here for Man Uncaved session number 7, and I'm going to talk to you about time today. Time, they say, is of the essence, and I think this is a timely subject matter for us today. So pardon all the puns, but if you go to a bookstore, and I use this analogy or example all the time, going to the bookstore tells us a lot about our society, and time management books never seem to go out of style. In fact, they seem to be as popular as ever, and not just the idea in books, but podcasts or, for instance, I was on the Freakonomics webpage a couple weeks back, and the guy was talking about being productive, using your time wisely. It was a long podcast, 40 minutes long, so I actually didn't listen to all of it. So I think that's funny too. It was just too long for me to hear. But the essence of it was very simple. Here's the gist: efficiency over productivity. And, you know, we can get a number of things done in our day, but never get to the important. I don't know about you, but my days have some routine to it. There's some normal things that come up in my day that I need to get done. But after a while, some of those things just become so automatic, and I kind of forget whether or not I should even be doing them. Perhaps that could be moved on to somebody else who could either do it better or take it from me so I could go do something that I'm better at or I'm more skilled in. You know, being efficient is knowing what you need to get done that will move the ball forward, that team analogy, or gets the needle moving in the right direction, creating momentum and building steps. We talked about that in Carpe Diem. When we're stuck in rinse and repeat, we don't even think about whether we're moving the ball forward or if the needle is going in momentum. We're just trying to survive. And that's one of the things that we're trying to break. That's why we're talking about Man Uncaved. That for many people, life is really just it's just one big repeat Groundhog Day. We just go out after it every day. Now, one of the books out of the Old Testament that we don't read a lot, but we're familiar with, and you know, as soon as I say the word Ecclesiastes, you go, oh yeah, Ecclesiastes. Well, Ecclesiastes talks a great deal about time. So here in chapter 3, verse 1 through 8, it says, "There's a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the sun. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to fear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace." In other words, the writer of Ecclesiastes says there is a time for everything. That was Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8. You may want to read those over again because there's it's kind of a focusing tool, right? To read those verses and recognize things happen, and they're just not so random. They often happen in series and for a reason. So spend some time meditating on that. Those things that we're talking about in quiet time. Take a passage like that and just allow that to kind of marinate in your heart a little bit and see what God talks to you about in that regard. But what I want you to understand in regards to time is that perhaps the greatest wisdom in it is that we would learn to respect time. Time is your most precious commodity, and it's non-renewable. And as you get older, time seemingly moves quicker. And there's more to manage as well. You know, I think I mentioned a few podcasts, a few video conference calls ago, that I feel like my house is too big, I've got too many responsibilities, and I just want to simplify my life. I think I think that process started as I started to recognize my time and what it's worth, and valuing it and everything else. The type of things that I do in my life, I'm a people first profession, and sometimes people I can consume huge amounts of time, and if I'm not careful, if I don't have proper balance, I can get out of whack really fast. And of course, everybody's need is valid and has something that needs to be given to it, and God's grace needs to come to it. But the same is also true for those that are caregivers, or in my case as a pastor. Our time can be greatly abused. And you know, this isn't about me, but I'm just saying is I had to learn that I had to respect my time. And one of those things in trying to learn to respect my time is helping other people to learn that they needed to respect my time too. So if they made an appointment with me at 10 o'clock and then didn't show up till 11:30, and then expected for me to sit with them for an hour, well, that wasn't going to happen because I had other things to do in my day. Now, emergencies happen and everything else, but I'm just talking about sometimes people have a rare or an odd idea about time, especially in my profession. So if you're trying to figure out how to respect your time, you probably are living in some moments of stress that are perhaps time related. So begin first by respecting it. Also focus on your priorities and keep that in balance. If you do not have set goals, you will remain stuck in a rinse and repeat lifestyle. I think I've mentioned this a dozen times already. But when you have a priority, it makes the time that you have to give to that priority that much more important. When you have a dream or you're moving towards a vision, all of this will help to serve your focus, and you will want to get through the things that are necessary, or should cause you to think, how can I move this off my plate, give it to somebody else, so that I can go ahead and move towards that which I'm passionate about. That's or a place where I feel like I'm truly contributing. For instance, I know I'm more productive as well in the morning than I am at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Interestingly enough, I'm recording this at 2:34 in the afternoon, but for the most part, I don't want to be studying at 2:34. I kind of hit my, I just get sleepy, I get tired. It's what happens after lunch, right? And we all know this. So if I want to study and be productive, I get twice as much done in 2 hours of studying in the morning than I would ever get done in 2 hours of study in the afternoon. So in understanding my time and knowing when I'm most productive, I'm respecting all aspects of what I'm trying to do. And I already mentioned this idea of simplifying your life, but it's true. Think of all the time wasters in your life. Just removing the time wasters from your life, the things that are really insignificant but that just chew up energy and time and everything else. By eliminating that, you begin to simplify your life. I don't know where you are in your career, but some of you, everyone answers to you. That can be exhausting. Give them some permission to make decisions on their own, and then be happy with the decisions to make. Even if it isn't the way you would make it, you can train around that, give your expectations, reinforce your expectations, everything else. But having to answer everybody's question about everything is exhausting. That's just managing. And management for me, at least in my case, man, that just gets tiresome. But also, it really just makes your people robots. And you want your people to be good. You want them to be thinking on their feet and moving, so on and so forth. So begin to simplify your time and try to get folks away from always coming to you for every little thing and helping them to figure out some of these things on your own. If you're a parent, you have young children in your home, you get this because your kids are asking you, why, or why do we do this and everything else. You get to teach them. In church, we often say that 20% of people give 20% of the income. Now, I don't think the church made that up because there's an ancient rule that's said of this, that it's the 80-20 concept. So I don't think the church came up with the deal. I think they stole it. But it's that 20% of the activities in our life give us 80% of the results. I can't measure that for you. Only you will know if that's true or not. So furthermore, 80% of our activities only give 20% of the result. So I want you to see it this way. But 80% of the time, if it was true of you, of the stuff that you're doing today, only contributes to 20% of that which you feel good about. So if you were working on the 20% more effectively, that brings the most satisfaction, success, productivity, efficiency, you would be way better off living your life there. So figure out what that is. Figure out what only you can do, and you go do it and do it the best way you can. Everything else, bring people alongside to help you to fill in the gaps. This scenario is played out for us very well in Acts chapter 6, and I actually brought my Bible here, and it says this in the beginning of Acts chapter 6. In those days, when the number of disciples were increasing, the Grecian Jews among them complained against the Hebraic Jews because their widows were being overlooked in the daily distribution of food. So the 12 gathered all the disciples together and said, "It would not be right for us to neglect the ministry of the word of God in order to wait on tables. Brothers, choose 7 men from among you who are known to be full of spirit and wisdom. We will turn this responsibility over to them, and we'll give our attention to prayer and the ministry of the word." And going on in verse 5, it says this proposal pleased the whole group. So here's the dilemma I've had, and I've had to learn to work through it. I like to serve. You know, I pastor a great church. I love this church. And we do a lot of things for people and community and everything else. But I've learned I can't do everything. And this really bothers me. I've often told, my dad taught me all the time, and again, someone taught him, but you lead by example. So if there's tables to be cleared, I'm clearing tables. I'm rolling them up. If there's chairs to be stacked, I'm stacking chairs. I'm doing it. If there's a work day out there, I lead. I'm out there. People seeing me visibly working and getting to know people and everything else. All very, very important. The fact of the matter is, that's not always the best use of my time. Now, sure, we can debate the benefits of and the fruit thereof and everything else. But if I don't let go of some of the things that I think maybe I'm embarrassed about letting go or trying to make myself more important than anybody else, I have to get beyond the fact that there's nothing wrong with me cleaning a table. But perhaps I'm better prepared to pray for somebody at the altar than I am cleaning that table or clean up an aisle 9 in that moment. See what I'm saying? And it's not that I don't think it's important. It is important. But there's something that God has gifted me to do that I shouldn't feel shame or guilt about, but I should go after and do that. At the same time, the balance is to, again, continue to lead by example, be with people and everything else, but allow them to see your gifts, the gifts that God has given you, to be in operation. Otherwise, they don't need a pastor. They just need another custodian on staff. And so you have to find a balance. And I think most of you guys know me well enough on this call that you understand my heart in this. So the apostles figured it out. They realized what they were good at. There were some cultural differences going on there. Some felt that there was some group were being slighted over another, that some of their women were being treated better than other women that were widows and everything else. So they had a sticky situation, but they chose from among them people that were gifted and skilled to be able to fix this situation, not only culturally, but then go about and get the work done. And that's good leadership. That's good leadership. And the apostles could go back to what they'd been tasked to do: pray, share the word of God, expand the church, plant churches, do evangelism, go into all the world, preach the gospel. That was the commandment they'd been given by Jesus to go do. So we started this call off with the idea of time is of the essence. What's pressing on your life today? Deadlines, maybe? Or some things at home, projects? Oh man, projects. Always a project at home, right? Ephesians 5:16 says this: making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Folks, we have to be reminded of the fact that sometimes our work is just busy work. And if we would give ourselves to the things of the kingdom, if we would have a kingdom focus first, while at the same time not neglecting. I've seen a lot of people do things for the kingdom and begin to neglect their health. They don't eat well. They don't sleep. They run every day. They go 24/7. And pretty soon they're having nervous breakdowns, or they got heart and health issues. Their family's falling apart. And they're saying, well, I'm doing it for the kingdom. Well, I appreciate that. I've grown up in a pastor's home. I understand what it is to do for the kingdom. I also understand what it means to begin to take care of myself. I don't like necessarily going for a walk. I don't always feel like running every day, but I do it because it helps me here, and it keeps me in shape, but it really helps me here. And it's very, very important. And because I'm called to be alert, the days are evil, I've got a task to do, I've got guys to encourage on a call, I've got a church to pastor, I get to preach the gospel, and people come to faith, and they accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior. It's exciting stuff. That's what I'm called to do because the days are evil. One of the things I've had to learn to do is have the courage to say no. Oh, man. Say no. Oh. Sometimes we're just afraid to say no because we don't want to have to deal with the reaction. Sometimes it's easier for us to not say anything, just go get it done, and then we grumble and grouse about it later. But sometimes we get asked things that when we get bitter about it, we go, why are they asking me that? Well, the fact of the matter is, maybe you're too available. Maybe you've made yourself so available, and they just know, hey, I'll just ask him. They'll know what to do. Put the responsibility on you. And it's wonderful that people think highly of you and everything else, but you have to get out of waiting the tables, according to Acts. You have to, if that's your calling, then that's what you're going to do. But at some point, you need to train other people to do what you're doing so you can continue to grow and you can move beyond the rinse and repeat lifestyle. And you need to learn to say no to some things. That's hard. We're always looking for volunteers for the church. So sometimes we drag people in kicking and screaming. Probably they should be saying no in some cases. Or they've been saying no for so long, it's just an automatic. So find the balance. In a book I was reading, the guy was talking about having a deathbed mentality. Yeah, it's good. It's not a new idea, but I wanted to bring it to your attention today. But if you only had a limited time on earth, what would you do? What would be important to you? Perhaps reconciling with a friend, or reconciling with a family member, telling someone that you love them, someone that maybe you haven't talked for a long time. Maybe you would call a bunch of folks that you grew up with just to touch base. Maybe you'd quit your job, or maybe you do something you really want to do. So that deathbed mentality kind of clarifies for us very quickly what our priorities are. And there's nothing keeping you from handling some of those priorities today. Doing some of those things, putting some efficiency behind those things, would create more than enough success down the way, and certainly would allow you some enjoyment. So think about how you would treat family, colleagues, friends, neighbors, you name it, and they got it. So time is very, very essential to us. Psalms 90 verse 12 says, teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And Proverbs 16:3 says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. Guys, this is a shorter one today, but time is of the essence. So meditate on some of these thoughts. Think about it. Think about what you're really doing, and don't get so melancholy and start saying, oh, my life doesn't matter. No, your life does matter, but give your life to the things that already matter in your life, and give those things more emphasis, more time, more effort, and you'll find that you'll be much more fulfilled very, very quickly. As well as you're doing those things as unto the Lord, you'll see that God honors that, and he just blows that up in a powerful way. So guys, thanks for tuning in today, and we'll be back with you in 2 weeks live. And again, when this comes out on YouTube a little bit later today, share it. Send it along to other guys that maybe you would like to see join us on a call. We will be beginning that evening group soon. We're just trying to square away some other small group things that we have going on at the church, but we'll be making some announcements very soon about our evening group, so be staying tuned for that. And so for now, thanks so much. Great to see you, and bless you, pray for you, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks. All right, bye-bye.